Hello YouTube, Uncle Lucky here, and welcome back to another episode of CBQ Hobbies. Today we're going to talk about the Suicide Squad and the debacle that has gone and plagued the internet. Now, I'm going to tell you first off, we're going to talk a little bit about Rotten Tomatoes. And, I don't blame Rotten Tomatoes for anything that's happened because they just simply tell you what all of these averaged reviews together in some type of percentage are. The absolutely hands down weirdest thing about the situation is how many people are reviewing these movies before they actually even come out. Today, as you're watching this, or as I'm filming it, it's August 5th, and I have just come back from seeing the Suicide Squad. And I will tell you that the reviewers are either watching a completely different movie or I'm insane.
It's insane.
Now I'm confused along with a lot of other people, and I'm by no means an advocate saying that Rotten Tomatoes needs to be shut down. I don't think that's the case. I think that's insane and ignorant. But what I can tell you is there is apparently a disconnect between people who review movies and fandom. And I say that wholeheartedly as a fan of comic books and comic book movies. That if your job is to review movies, and you go into it thinking to yourself, I hate comic book movies, why am I reviewing this caca? Then you're probably going to have a bad taste in your mouth before the movie even starts. But the fact that all of these reviews are coming out before movies even hit theaters, and all of them are completely dogging this movie, make absolutely no sense to me. Now, I can honestly say, I will be honest, going in to see Batman vs. Superman was an experience. Walking out of the theater saying to myself, did I really like this movie or not? When you have to ask yourself, and you have to justify every scene in the movie out loud and say, what did I not like about this movie? And something sticks with you for a couple of days, and that means there was a problem with the movie. And there most assuredly was a problem with Batman vs. Superman. And I can see where the critics dogged it. I can honestly say that. Am I saying it's the worst movie I've ever seen? By no means at all am I saying that. I'm saying there's a lot of scenes in the movie that were very, very good that were marred by very bad writing and a couple of questionable choices for the characters. That being said, we move on to Suicide Squad, which is a coherent movie. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It has a coherent story, and there's a lot of characters thrown at you very quickly. Now, I am not going to say that this is a movie review. I'm not going to give any kind of a score, numbers, stars, any of that hoopla. I'm telling you what the situation is with the reviews that are dogging the movie and how things have become askew, because the stories aren't making any sense. You've got one side of this entire story that says everybody is seeing a different cut of this movie. Apparently, some people who went to review this movie early saw a completely different cut than the rest of us. And then, yet again, somebody else saw a different cut of this movie and got confused. And then, apparently, whatever I saw tonight was the best cut of the movie. I'm confused about this because everything I've read up till now says that the movie that I watched isn't the same cut. And you can even tell that by, if you've seen all of the teaser trailers and commercials for this movie, half of the commercials that I've seen, things being said and things being done and things that I was seeing were not in the movie. So I'm seriously confused about what everybody's actually seeing. What does it all mean? Now this is spoiler free. I'm just going to tell you little bullet points about the movie. I'm not even going to go into plots or anything like that. That's for other people. That's not for me. I'm just going to hit little bullet points about where this movie starts, where it goes, and some of the things that are a little bit confusing or that aren't there, that should have been there. Now, first off, the Joker. He's got a little bit of a role in the movie, but his scenes aren't all that big.
But where's Mr. J?
They promote him in the commercial as being a larger part of the movie, and he's kind of not really. And as a matter of fact, again, this isn't really a spoiler, but when you go and see the movie, inevitably, that if they cut all his scenes out of the movie altogether, it would have made no difference on the plot. It wasn't a bad thing or a good thing, as a matter of fact. It's not something that I would have, if I had been reviewing the movie, I would have thought nothing more of it, to tell you the truth. That's just the way of it. His character neither drove the movie or had anything to influence the other characters in any way. So his was more, my personal feeling, his was more of a reintroduction of the Joker into the DCU for the new movie-going franchises. Now, here's the thing. The movie is good. It was entertaining from beginning to bloody end. It was hilarious. It was heartwarming in some parts. It had a lot of fun moments, a lot of action, a lot of explosions, a lot of banter with the characters. They threw things at you at a quick clip. Now, that's not a pro or a con again. They introduce you to a lot of characters in the movie. I can only see that people who don't read comic books or know about these characters would completely be lost, because they do throw a lot of characters at you. But then again, the line of characters that they throw at you, from Will Smith's character to the Harley Quinn character, to, you can tell what line they go in from how they introduce each character. So you get what you need from these characters, and that's all you do need. Back to the Rotten Tomatoes debacle. Rotten Tomatoes is a weird entity in itself, because Rotten Tomatoes, as far as I know, doesn't do reviews. They simply tally all the scores and tell you what the score would be in some weird percentage. Suicide Squad's sitting at a 26 right now on Rotten Tomatoes, which that's apparently pretty dreadful. If I ever actually paid attention to what Rotten Tomatoes and reviewers actually had to say about anything, I guess my life would be pretty bad, because all I'd be watching is like documentaries and movies about George Washington or something. I don't know. I would never leave my house because all these reviews are so bad. But here's something interesting. I got on Rotten Tomatoes a little bit ago, and you can do this too. Just jump on and pick a movie that you really like. It doesn't really matter, that's the thing. It's a movie that you really like. I'll give you an example. I absolutely love the movie Army of Darkness. Bruce Campbell, Ashley J. Williams is one of my favorite characters in cinema. It's a fun movie because it never once takes itself seriously. And I absolutely love it. I love the Evil Dead series. Army of Darkness was a great movie, to me personally. But here's the thing. Rotten Tomatoes is giving this movie 72%. That's good. That's pretty damn good. They're giving a movie that came out in 1992 a 72%. Alright, let me take that back. Rotten Tomatoes is not giving them anything. They're supposedly taking all these scores and numbers the people have given this movie over time and condensing it and finding a mathematical equation or whatever and giving it this score. So their score is sitting at a 72 percentile, which is very, very good. The only problem is, when this movie came out in theaters in 1992, it bombed at the box office. It was completely obliterated at the box office. It didn't even barely make back its budget. The movie was made for like $11 million, and it made 11.5. It barely scratched the surface on making any kind of cash. So please tell me, anybody, how is it that this movie is sitting at 72% being really, really good, but yet everybody knows that it bombed terribly at the box office? It doesn't seem to work. It seems to be odd. Are they taking all of this time after all these years because Army of Darkness has reached a cult status and they're still taking people's reviews 20-something years later, and that's what's jacking it up? I mean, how does that even count? How do we even look at that? How do we take this data and use it for something good in a situation like this? They're giving, all the numbers together are saying that this movie's at 26%. So does that mean that it'll be up at 70% 15 years from now? You know, that's the problem we're having. I think a lot of people are having with the whole Rotten Tomatoes situation and these reviewers, because the reviewers are just killing this, and it doesn't make any sense because it's a good movie. It's a lot of fun. It is a popcorn event movie. You know, plot being what it is, the plot's not dreadful at all. The plot's decent. It's, you know, it's been done before 100,000 times, but, you know, there's no originality in Hollywood anyway. But it's a good movie, and I don't understand. And I think that's why all the fans are just in an uproar about this entire situation. I don't get it. Okay, I could go on about this all night, guys. I really could. In closing, don't listen to Rotten Tomatoes. I'm not saying that this website needs to be shut down, but we're all adults here. We can all make up our minds what movies we do and don't want to see. There's nothing that would have dissuaded me from going to see this movie in the first place. I ordered tickets weeks ago. I was going to see it no matter what, and if it was terrible, I would walk out of the movie theater telling myself that the movie was terrible. In this situation, the movie ended up being really, really good, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I can't actually wait to see it again. I can't wait for it to come out on DVD. I can't wait for the special features, the 40 more hours that were cut from the original, whichever version of the movie I watched. I don't know. We're all adults, but I don't need people reviewing the movie, and I sure as hell don't need Rotten Tomatoes to tell me where my entertainment value is going to be for the next 50 movies that I go see. If Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 2%, I don't care. I couldn't give a shit less, to tell you the truth. It's just not in me to care about other people's opinions about things, because I find a lot of things out there that I enjoy, other people can't stand. So, you know.
Shut up and sit down.